We're back. Welcome to the Nullified Take channel, where we've got the TNT takes for you on the Challenge 40, episode 13. That's right. We'll probably talk about episode 12 on this recap as well, since we weren't here last week to talk about that. And it's been a whole, I feel like, 2 weeks since I've spoken to Kahuna. Kahuna, how you doing, buddy? It's been a while.
Yeah, man. It feels like it's been a long time, isn't it? When you talk to someone so often, so frequently, that multiple times a week we get to podcast together, you take a week or two break, you go, man, it's been so long. But it does feel like that. And I missed you, man. I miss chatting about the shows and all that sort of thing. So it does make, absence makes a heart grow fonder, they say. I guess it's true.
100%. I was talking to Julie, and I said to her, like, I've been absolutely hammered at work. Like, it's just, we're going into a busy season. There's a lot of project work going on. A lot of, for those who don't know, I work in sales. So there's a lot of business to business relationship stuff going on where you're up until like late. And then I also manage the Barcelona team, not just the Melbourne team. So I had meetings late with them. It's just been full on, and I was feeling tapped out. I'm not going to lie. But then I said to Julie, probably yesterday, I said to her, I just have that surge of motivation. It's back. Like, I want to talk about the challenge. I'm still behind on Survivor, though. I'm 2 episodes behind on Survivor, but I have caught up to the challenge. So no spoilers for Survivor tonight. That's all I'm asking for.
I've got you. That's fine. We don't need to. Yeah. I haven't watched this week. I'm up to date except for yesterday's episode, so we don't need to. Well,
yeah, but I do have exciting news for those that are listening to this at a later stage. We've got our first official sponsor for the podcast. We're now partnering with Coinbase with the Nullified Take channel. So if you're into crypto, if you go to a description below, you'll see we've got a referral link there for the podcast. Anybody that does use crypto, if you're not on Coinbase, check out Coinbase, sponsor of the Nullified Take podcast here on the channel, which is very exciting. Our very first sponsor, as well as StreamYard themselves now sponsoring the podcast as well, with a referral link below. So if you want to see how we create these podcasts, what it is that we do, we use the software called StreamYard with a link below. If you sign up, all of that, you don't have to do much more than that, but it does give us like a little small boost here for a small channel like ours. It will help out. Kahuna, have you gotten into Coinbase yet? Or any kind of like cryptocurrencies?
You know what? I have a Coinbase account, and I haven't looked at it in many years. I was on the crypto in 2018, 2017, and I got ripped off. I got scammed, and I haven't gone back. So if I had the crypto I had at the time, where I wasn't, if I hadn't had been scammed and had been able to hold, and I had hodled that whole time, I would be a lot wealthier today.
Well, for anybody who's in crypto, Bitcoin is at an all-time high since last week, and it's been a good ride. I've been a part of Coinbase for a long time. It is a very solid platform.
I was buying at the 2,000, 3,000 mark.
Right. No, you would be killing it. It's like that was okay. Now US, I believe it's like close to $90,000. Right, just give you an idea. So it's improved somewhat since then. Bloody Money is using Luno. There you go. So definitely worth checking out. Blood Money, welcome back to the live. Saying Chris and Kahuna, today is the 10th anniversary of Diem Brown's death. RIP Diem. Always sad to think about it. Strange story for me. When I watched Diem and I went back because I was a new school fan of the show, she was already dead. Like, she already passed away, which was kind of shock. Like, I obviously didn't know. It's kind of shocking as I went back to watch it, to see that whole her falling in love with CT and her relationship. But such a badass competitor. We'll never forget, obviously, what she meant to the show as well. Blood Money is saying Laurel and Nerys beefing on Twitter. What's new? What is new?
Laurel looking real petty though. Laurel not looking good in this exchange.
Really? So you've been keeping up?
I've seen a couple of the screenshots, and Laurel's basically saying, even though Nerys and Horacio are literally a couple, she's saying shit like, "Oh, he wanted me first. You're sloppy seconds," and all that kind of thing. I'm like, yeah, okay, like.
Do you expect anything else from Laurel? At this point, though, do you expect anything else? while we're on the subject of Laurel, I just want to say hello to everybody else here as well. There's a couple of really good comments coming through. We'll read it as we go through it. Lovable Nikki in the live. It's been a long time since I've seen Lovable Nikki in the live. We appreciate you being here. Heart emojis back to you as well. Cookie LaFou.
By the way, before I forget, sorry.
Oh.
On Diem, I don't know if the chat is aware, but my last name is Brown. And were my third child to be a girl instead of a boy, very likely would have been called Diem Brown, which would have been not necessarily for Diem. Not that I hate the little nod or the little tribute if anyone had actually twigged, but it was because the name is just so good. Like when I heard that name the first time together, I was like, "That my name's Brown," and that first name together, to me, it was such a good combination in my ear. So had I had a girl the third time or the third child, it might have been called Diem. It was definitely on the list anyway, so it's interesting.
Yeah,
but yeah, rest in peace.
Cookie LaFou here saying, "Oh my God, I've never caught you guys live. Welcome back. I'm in Los Angeles, so I got to sleep, but I'll catch the rest later." Cookie LaFou, if you see this tomorrow, your time, or later during the day, your time, we appreciate you dropping in and leaving a comment for us. Always great to have people in the comment section, either in the lives or even after the lives, telling us what they think of all of the action. And then Bloody Money saying, All-Star 6 officially got greenlit. Also, Survivor 48, The Amazing Race Season 37, Deal or No Deal Island Season 2 has announced its premiere date. Out of all of those, the one that I'm the most excited about is Deal or No Deal Island. That is the one that looks like it's going to be the most exciting. Yeah, I saw the trailer today.
The first one yet?
Ooh, Kahuna, you got to go watch the first one. It's so much better than Survivor, I reckon, at the moment. Like, it is.
Okay.
It is good. It is. I was kind of like,
recommendation.
I was 50-50 on Deal or No Deal Island. I was like, how good can the show really be if the principle of it is choosing suitcases that need to be opened, and then you have to like go high or low to try and stay in the game? But there is strategy to it. The first season, I won't spoil it. There's certain characters that made it really memorable, but I just thought it was a very fresh take. But yeah, Deal or No Deal Island Season 2 is looking really good. I like the fact that even in the trailer, David Gannat, who both you and we know him really well from Australian Survivor, he's saying he's going to tell no one that he's the best player from Australian Survivor ever. So that's a secret. And everybody knows Parvati is a Survivor winner, and they talk shit about it in the trailer. And he's like, "Oh, really? Survivor players are dangerous?" So I'm already thinking this is going to be a good season if he can pull it off.
I'm just a male model.
I'm just a male model. I'm into feet. Kuna, you into feet? I need to know this.
Oh, mate, that I am not into feet. I am not in the slightest. Like, I actually think it's an indication of society's downfall as a whole that the feet people are just so comfy and out with it now. Not that I kink shame at all, but they're just so brave with it now. Like the feet people, they're just so cool and comfortable in their feetness, and I don't know. I don't mind when there was a little bit of, keep it in the closet a little bit, at least for the feet stuff. But this felt
there was
very
a lot of close-ups.
There was a lot of
close-ups of feet.
Yeah, it was a Tarantino movie all over.
I was trying to have my dinner while watching the episode, and I felt really uncomfortable eating my chicken teriyaki while seeing feet close up on the screen every couple of minutes. Like, I was like, what's going on? What am I watching? But yeah.
Multiple times as well. Like, it just came up so as a thing. You know.
A lot of jealousy from the.
It was a group thing. It was a fun party thing. It was a potential source of marriage, breakdown. It was a wedge issue. Toes and feet can be so many different things to so many different people, apparently.
Yeah. Well, you kind of brought it up, so let's talk about it. What did you think of the whole Michelle calling out Aviv and Bananas in the bus and it becoming a big thing? Like, I mean, for me, I was sitting on the sidelines thinking, surely it wasn't just their feet touching, and that's what got her to talk. Like, there must have been more that we didn't see, because they were all like, "You've put Aviv in such a bad light, and this could destroy her life outside of the game." And I'm like, what did she say? She was just asking for a foot rub. They must have edited so much of that conversation out, because we didn't see, I think, or were they just blowing it up? Like, I was so confused throughout that whole thing.
I don't know. Like, it is weird. Like, as a married man, it is weird to just touch feet with other people. Like, I don't know why you would do that, but I could also totally, as someone who doesn't give a crap about feet in the slightest, I could see it not being a sexual thing in the slightest as well. They were literally just sitting across in the, feet touched in the bus way, hallway, or whatever you call that footpath thing. But I don't know, man. Like Michelle's having a go. She's trying to, she's not liking Johnny at the moment, so she's riling him up and taking shots. Aviv is the unfortunate, side effect of that, or the collateral damage. And I do shout out to Michelle that she actually apologized to V for being caught up in that. I didn't like that she did sort of because at the start of the season, I didn't appreciate when Laurel mentioned anything about a massage from
but that sounded worse.
Emily with Darrell, right? It did sound worse, but in this one as well, like I think it's because the foot.
Michelle literally said, like, can I just repeat what we saw on the TV screen? She literally said, "Can I get him a foot massage as well? Like, how do I get in on the action?" That is what she said.
Can I join the foot party? Can I get it in a foot party?
How can you compare that to what Laurel said, which was two very different things? Like, I feel like we must have missed some key context. There must have been some more conversation going on, or Bananas just did what Bananas did, and he was a bit of a diva in this moment and blew it up even further.
¿Por qué no los dos? Why not both? Why a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B? Look, I think there's also like it's weird. Us humans, we've evolved very strangely to find specific things provocative and specific things not provocative in the slightest, right? And for whatever reason, the whole footsies under the table, that sort of thing, like for whatever reason it is, I don't know how we became this way, but playing footsies with someone else, especially of the opposite sex, is part and parcel of flirtation, of, that sort of thing. So, whether it's, on the fringes, if you squint really hard, you can kind of make something look a bit dodgy if you want to, potentially too.
Yeah.
So I don't think Michelle's necessarily saying that, but Johnny definitely spun it that she was trying to be and he plays it up hard, man. He's been on fire the last couple of episodes as far as just drumming up the drama. So he's just like soaking it all up, man.
Lovable Nikki is saying it was BS. They were not playing footsies. Michelle was trying to agitate John. We did not miss anything. Michelle is full of shit. Well, I've got the belief personally. Like, I'm loving this Michelle. Like, I'm sorry. Like, she's bringing the drama. She's crying. She's emotional. She's having fights with Johnny. She's taking stabs. Like, I mean, give the girl her flowers. She is not one of those girls, like every single season we say, we need people that are not afraid to go up against the powerful players in the game. Someone who's not afraid to punch back at the big power players. That's her. Like, I mean, Bananas is winning. He's throwing her in time after time again. She's coming back time after time again. And then Michelle is throwing in Bananas time after time again. I have to say, this is the highlight of the season. The season is not going to get better than what we're seeing right now, Kahuna. We're seeing two heavyweight boxers, challenges in the ring, going blow for blow, and I am living for it. I'm just like, who's going to win? Who's going to get the knockout punch? Is it going to be Michelle? Is she going to get Johnny out of the game? Is he finally going to lose one? Or is Johnny going to get Michelle out of the game? This is what we paid the big bucks for, Kahuna, to see two competitors go at it, back and forth, not holding punches. Like, isn't this what you want? Are you not entertained by this, Kahuna? Like, because this is why I come back. This is why the challenge is better than any other reality TV show right now for me, because you just don't see rivalries like this anymore where it's a back and forth ding dong match, Like, this is more exciting than the Jake Paul Tyson fight that's going to happen in the weekend. Like, I mean, who cares about that, because we know it's rigged. But this one here, this is entertainment.
Look, you kind of wish it was on what would traditionally be considered more even opponents, right? Like, I do appreciate that Michelle is standing up to John, and she's certainly not backing down. She's been hit, she's gone down into elimination, come back, and hasn't backed off. It's not like she goes, oh well, he's going to send me back in again, so I'll go a different direction or find a different path. She's standing strong, and I do appreciate that. but it does feel like she's not the real challenger here. I get the vibe a lot of the way she's striking out of Bananas is kind of what Bananas said, and I think he called it pretty accurately, that she's backed into a corner and it feels a little bit like tantrumy fighting back, that you're losing and you kind of, it's not like
what
taking
should she
shots
do?
like
So
Kahuna,
Kahuna, you're Michelle. What should she do? What, like in her case, how does she play this differently?
I don't think I don't have a problem with the way she's playing. He's right, because she is backed into a corner. Like, she's literally in the worst possible position in this episode anyway.
Yeah.
At that moment, she's going into elimination against her best friend. There's no other possible things. There's nothing else going on. Like, he's right. But if you're going to go out, like, taking shots at Bananas is the way to go about it, right? Like, it does 100%. Come off as a little bit desperation. But like I said, there's no harm in that.
I don't see any. I don't see any desperation.
No way around it. I do. You want to see that, right? If someone wants to go down, you want to see them go down swinging, and even if it feels like the last.
Can I tell you what I think is desperation? Desperation in my mind is if she was to pull her punches, go back to Bananas and say, let's work this out. We were friends outside of the game. We can work around this thing. That's desperation. That's playing scared. That's saying, hey, Bananas, I'll kiss your feet. I'll kiss your feet.
I meant more like, okay, it's not desperation, but more I still think she's playing pretty strategically, but these shots that she's taking at Bananas, as far as the foot thing, as far as it's emotional out. It's when I say desperate, it's lashing out at it. Like she's losing and she's just lashing out. It's not necessarily a strategic thing that she's doing. Obviously, picking him and standing strong with her alliance and all that. Yeah, absolutely. But I think the agitation, I don't necessarily think it's coming from like a strategic mind like Bananas would, like a Wes would, like a Jordan might, where they will actually shit talk someone in order to facilitate.
I agree. I get where you're coming from now. Yeah. We were talking past each other. I was meaning I'm respecting the game moves. I'm respecting her taking shots back at him. You're talking 100%. About the way that she's going about trying to get into his head, because that is more out of a desperate sort of situation. I'm also trying to get in your head, Bananas, because you're in my head. And I think when you're talking about emotional, Michelle, and how she's playing the game emotionally, I think there was no better scene than the one where she was talking to Josh and where she nearly burned the burgers or whatever she was making for Derek because she couldn't focus on the task at hand, and she had to have had a go at Josh. Like, I actually you could say what you want about it. Sorry?
I felt Derek so much. Derek's just like, but he's like,
give me my spatula back. Let me finish my own food if you're going to have an argument. But that moment there showed, because I feel for Josh in this moment. I know most of our supporters, most of the people who watch the challenge, it's the easiest thing to hate on Josh. It's so easy to hate on Josh. It's so easy to hate on certain players. But in this moment, you put yourself in Josh's shoes. He does have more than one friend. He feels like he wants to shout wherever he wants to be able to support them verbally. And Michelle immediately looked at that as a stab against her. And that to me became, no, it's all about me, Josh. I'm emotional right now. I'm not going to listen to you. I thought Josh did really well not to blow up in that situation. I was waiting for the Josh from 2-3 years ago that would just blow up and, get pots and pans and start hitting them like he did in Big Brother. Like that Josh is still there very deep down inside, but he has shown some growth, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him for backing the people that he backs. And in fact, I still take my hat off for him because he did support Michelle in the arena this episode. He's like, I know you're probably going to throw me in there.
Extra effort to make it noticeable, I think.
Yeah, but I think he would have done that regardless. I think that's the point. Yeah. And Kyland probably summed it up the best this episode when he said that there's something for Josh to learn about in the game of the challenge. You can be friends with everyone, but you can't be aligned with everyone. There's a point where you're like, this is my alliance. This is who I'm with. And I'm not advocating for Josh's gameplay, because I do think that when you're playing against people like this who've played multiple seasons, you're going to get found out when you try and play the floater game in the middle. And at some point, you've got to show your cards, which I think he now has, because he has become the newest angel in the Bananas Angels alliance, right?
What about Kyland? The fact, like, the balls on this man to give advice, to Josh, who's been like, what does it say about
He
Josh?
didn't give it
Though?
to his face. He didn't give it to his
didn't
face. He
give
gave
his
it to
face,
us.
but Josh, like, he's played at least double the amount of seasons of him, has one big brother, you know, where Kyland came from, but Josh won it. And, you know, and Kyland's giving him advice like he's the expert when he's on his third season, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of players that have played
It was
less games than
valuable
Josh.
advice, undoubtedly,
Yeah,
but you know.
like I mean, we can't deny that so far Kyland's showing on the challenge has been more impressive than anything Josh has done up until this point. Like Kyland's looking like a legitimate threat to win the season. Obviously, Jordan's got the experience, and this specific episode, he got the better of Kyland, but Kyland's won a few dailies individually. He's shown that the mini final was impressive. Like he outran Jordan in a mini final. That was impressive. We haven't even spoken about that. Like, what was your thoughts on the mini final? Did you like the mini final? Was there anybody that surprised you? Like for me, Kylan surprised me. I didn't know he had the gas tank on him that he did. It wasn't just the puzzles and things that he was good at. He also is a good runner by the looks of it.
It didn't surprise me. Like I see that in Kylan. I think he's the complete package. I think he's got everything that is required for a champion in this game to be a multi-time champion. He's got like high stats in lots of fields, you know what I mean? It's not like high in one thing and really weak in another. He's pretty much well-rounded, kind of just like Jordan. Whether it's at the same level as Jordan is another story, but I see him as a similar build or similar character type, you know what I mean, as Jordan, just really well-rounded in a lot of different areas. But whether that difference, the fact that he beat Jordan, I was actually kind of more impressed with Tori.
Oh wow!
When you consider,
Tori is showing up.
Yeah, when you consider who she, like, yes, Kylan beating Jordan, bananas, you know, Thea's there, but when you've got the guy's side is not looking quite as stacked as the women at the moment, and Tori was standing at the top of the pile when you still have a Cara Maria, a Rachel, a quitting Laurel, you know, things like that. Aviv still looking amazing, so it's impressive from Tori to actually come out on
top. I am completely sold on Tori this season. Like I am completely sold. I know a lot of listeners will not be happy with that. Again, Tori's an easy target to hate. She does a lot online. There's a lot of things that goes on. So people will probably hate the fact that, you know, I used to keep you in line when it came to Tori, and now I'm with you. I'm like, Tori's proving herself. She's beating a lot of these girls. She's in her peak right now. She's clearly taking the game seriously, and she brings fun moments to the show. And like even just this moment where she was having a conversation with Michelle, trying to calm her down, making sure her head's in the game. Like there's some real good human moments
gameplay, right?
And good human moments. Like I feel like just good human moments there. I mean, Michelle being in the game probably does benefit Tori because it means that Michelle will always be someone, but does it really benefit Tori? Because if Tori doesn't win the female daily, she's going in with Michelle. So like Michelle being a target ahead of her for bananas doesn't matter. They're both targets for bananas. So she still needs to win. So I don't know how making sure Michelle stays in the game is just a gameplay move. I actually think it is coming from a place of care and her just trying to look out for Michelle in some ways as well. And I've just been very impressed. What about that scene? This was one of my favorite scenes of the episode where all of them were sleeping and they're breathing, and it's Josh, Tori, and Jordan doing the breathing, which is kind of funny.
More
and
foot
then
stuff.
Corey, more foot stuff. And Corey coming in like Corey is the other guy. Like the people who've lifted in my estimation coming into the season, they weren't necessarily my favorites. Like I reckon Tori and Corey is like my favorites right now. Like Corey this season has just been so relatable. Like he seems like the normal guy living with a bunch of tryhards for reality TV. And he's just like every time when he's talking to the camera, it's like, can you believe this crap? I don't want anything to do with this. You know, he just seems like that normal guy that's out there playing the game. I've really enjoyed both of them. I think they both have shown immense growth. And what's your thoughts on, I guess, that scene and Corey as a whole? Because I know Corey is someone as well that you've had beef with in the past. What have you thought of his performance this season?
Yeah, I don't mind. Look, I have said Corey's had a really good season. And I think my beef with Corey has always been that he's not lived up to his potential, in that he should be a lot better
in the finals.
Yeah, in the finals. And if we get what,
but in arenas, he's one of the best. We've determined that this season. In arena, he's up there.
And I do appreciate his. Obviously, he seems to be. I don't know if it's working for him or against him, in that he doesn't have a lot of connections anymore. Like his team Yumbuck has come and gone, and like he's now a vet, but doesn't have the same relationships with the old vet crew.
Which is why it was sad to see. It was sad to see Nehemiah go in the last episode where he was purged, because Nehemiah was someone he was trying to build that working relationship with. He's trying to get a new Nelly T on his team basically in the game. So we're hoping that
unless he wants to go all stars.
Yeah. But I've got a very important question for you, Kuna. You've grown a lot when it comes to Corey. You've accepted him a lot more. But I've got a very important question. If the phone's ringing and it's Corey on the other side and he needs help in a final puzzle, will you answer the call? Will you be the friend that he can dial on, Kuna, if he was to be in a final and he needed to phone a friend?
I would be much better at it than him, probably. But yeah, I would help him for sure. Look, I don't hate Corey as a person. I want Corey to win. I just doubt that he will. That's my whole thing, is that I don't know that he will. I've not seen the killer instinct required to win this game up against some of the sharks that he swims against, is what I'm, especially up against some of the sharks that he swims against. There will be a season where there's no Jordan, no Bananas, no Kylands of the world, and things that the next generation that are even going to be better than him. And given the right circumstances, I think he will win, but he needs a very certain specific set of circumstances. And the way he sort of plays lately, I don't know if it helps or hinders, because he can fly under the radar a lot by not being aligned so heavily with one side of an alliance or another. But he finds himself in that position where he's always just a floater, and
he's never anybody's number one.
Like never anybody number one. He's always,
Do you know who's number one he was? Amanda's. Amanda said you were number one, Corey, and she's no longer in the game for him.
That's a bad choice, though, as well. Like that doesn't help you. Like, great, thank you. I'm glad you're my number one. That's the best. Like, even Cara Maria, that he said to Cara Maria, I'll be honest, Michelle's my number one, but if she doesn't pick me, guess what? And Cara Maria was happy to be in that slot. She's like, okay, like, I'm not your number one, but we'll see what happens. But that's kind of smart from both of them. Like, the fact that he goes, we're looking around and there's no one else, so we might as well work together. But that's kind of says a lot about the position that Corey's in that Cara Maria well, that's what I mean. Cara Maria has a long time been either hated / feared. And because of that, scared of, she's such a strong competitor, she gets ostracized or doesn't get to be in teams. And if Corey's in that same spot, it's not because they fear him in the same way. It's because they don't trust him, don't work with him, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't have the same relationships, where he's now an outsider on the level of Cara Maria. Like, that's a weird spot to be in.
No, it's a very fair observation. And obviously, being a big Cara Maria fan, I was stoked to see her just once again prove that she is who she is. She really is that girl. She's that boss girl when it comes to it. Like she said, she doesn't need a man to save her in this game. She saves herself. That has been Cara Maria for as long as we've known her. And she wins this daily, clutches it out. Cara Clutch Maria, that's what we'll be calling her from now on. And she's in the position where she doesn't have to go down into the sand. She has this conversation with Corey. She's now up in Corey's estimation as an alliance member. So I feel better about both of them having a chance of getting to the final, at least if, in Corey's case, like Cara Maria is a sure bet to be someone that could win, that would have his back, even if he was a target. She's probably someone, if she gets thrown in, could win an elimination. She wouldn't necessarily target Corey. And then Corey is kind of like the male version of Cara Maria in the sense that he hasn't won any challenges, so probably not that part of it. But in challenges, when it comes to going out into the arena, he's almost as much of a sure bet to come back as well. And he probably wouldn't throw Cara Maria in as a target. So I do like that strategic move from both of them to kind of like look out for each other. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. They become close alliance members now in the game. They need to find people, and they're showing a willingness to extend the olive branch to each other. So that's, in my opinion, a good move. Another part of this challenge, I think again, it was interesting seeing the 40-yard dash being like this big maze where everybody had to run and go and find these puzzle pieces. It was kind of interesting to see who had the cardio, who had the smarts when it came to the puzzles. The person that probably, again, hasn't alleviated any of my fears if they even get to a final is Michelle, not getting the puzzle, really struggling, losing against someone like Aviv. I know she had the time penalty, but you would have put money on Cara Maria Michelle to actually win in that spot. She's been on Survivor, which is puzzle dominant when it comes to challenges. She's shown she's good at puzzles, but for some other reason, when she's fatigued or she's under pressure in those moments, her arena luck hasn't necessarily translated into her dailies. Like, why do you think it is that Michelle doesn't seem to quite have the killer instinct when it comes to the dailies, but she does get it done in the arena?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
Do you reckon it's the fatigue? Do you think it's the cardio that plays into that? Because that looked brutal, what they were doing out there, and maybe the arena doesn't require the same kind of stamina.
There's also an element, I think Michelle is also, we've seen multiple times now to the point where it's even got a term, is the Michelle down. We've already touched on the fact that she plays very emotional. And I wonder if a big, massive daily where it does feel like it's going to be brutal, it's hot out there, all that, and then to come from behind with a minute time penalty, I think she gets in her own head where she's panicking, she's worried, she's going in, it's against her best friend, there's all these things going on that, there's a potential that it's going to be against Olivia. I can't come last, blah, blah, blah. I'm already a minute behind, and I think all of that just kind of, you know what I mean? Like, I get that vibe from her because we've seen it so many times where she's actually verbalized the lack of self-confidence where I can't compete with these women. What am I doing here? I'm not like them, blah, blah, blah. I imagine that is going through her head when she's running a minute behind to start with and panicking and all that sort of thing. Yeah. Like, that has to, be playing over and over again to a certain extent.
Yeah. And that penalty, I think, really screwed her over in this specific daily. It seemed like time was really of the essence. She was so far behind by the time. Yeah. Like, I mean, the guys were already out there and she was still standing there.
Last week's one, which was the mini final, like, Theo got 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then this one, Michelle got a minute. And I was like, oh, like, because I was like, I remember Theo saying it's the longest 30 seconds of his life. You can't believe how long it felt, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, 30 seconds would feel like a long time when you're just standing there. And then this week I was like, wait, a minute? Why is this one a minute when last week was 30 seconds? Like,
Yeah.
It felt
I totally agree. Let's read a couple of comments here. John Darwin owns, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, is saying Michelle is giving main character energy. I think the best thing that's happened to Michelle is her rivalry with Bananas. I think it's going to keep her relevant for future seasons. And I definitely see her coming back. I definitely see Bananas coming back. We haven't spoken like too much about Bananas, but Bananas was quiet for the first half of the season, but he is delivering right now. I mean, he is giving everything. This has been Bananas' best season in years. Like, I have not seen a season like this. Bananas being under fire, Bananas not having a comfortable season makes for very entertaining TV in my mind. We had Troy on the bloody podcast 2 weeks ago saying that Bananas is now one of the guys he's shouting for, and he never thought he would. Like, Troy's fully sold on the Bananas man at the moment and what he's giving us. We've got Lovable Nikki giving you the side-eye, Kahuna. Not exactly sure what comment.
She was waiting for when you asked about Corey, how I would react to the Corey. It's like,
yeah. No, Kuna's turning around on Corey. Don't worry about that. Danica saying, morning, guys. Where the heck have you all been? We kind of talked about it a little bit in the beginning of the podcast, Danica. It's just been really, really busy on this side here, trying to fit everything in. But we are back. We're talking about the challenge. I'm still 2 episodes behind Survivor. I haven't had time to watch it. So for now, Drew and Jake are your guys, like when it comes to the recaps, and we'll fall in wherever we can down the line on some of the bonus content for Survivor. But hopefully we can at least stay on top of the challenge. Like, it's never fun when I fall behind on those ones, but it's been really, really busy on my end, which has made it difficult to jump on the podcast. Danica saying, I think Michelle has actually been less emotional this season, but maybe I'm just getting used to her. I think you're right, Danica, she has been, but I think the last episode we've started seeing old Michelle come back in to the game. There's cracks in the game, and we're seeing that. But doesn't matter. I am similar to you, used to Michelle now, and I do think Michelle adds a lot of value to the game. She's brought some entertainment this season. The fact that she's going back and forth with Bananas, it has been enjoyable to watch. Now, Jordan came out of this episode looking good, like won the daily, didn't have to take a shot at anyone, got safe from being a target. I mean, it was a good shot. He could have been thrown in again. Like, the guy won the jackpot, right, Kahuna?
Let me ask you something. He's looking really golden, right? To the point where it feels a little bit like on the men's side, we're not seeing a lot of challenges to Jordan for a final at this point. Like Kyland and Bananas, it kind of feels like a bit of a 3-man race with Jordan a clear one to me. But when Jordan,
you still got the social threat Derek there as well. I mean, you never know about him.
We'll see. But Jordan, like the fact that we just talked about Bananas having a great season, when you're seeing him uncomfortable, I feel like Jordan's like on the opposite end. Like, is he boring this season?
He's playing, I said this a couple of weeks ago, and then I feel like I got flack for it. Where I said he's not really giving much entertainment, but he's playing a really good game. Like, I mean, this is the most clinical Jordan we've seen. Like, he is playing a masterclass this season, and it's almost like he's playing on easy mode while everybody around him is playing on hardcore mode, right? And he's just making it look easy at this stage. I do think that he still has competition in Bananas and Kyland. I hope we see Bananas, Kyland, and Jordan in the final. That's the 3 I want to see. I want to see a stacked final with 3 good guys going up against each other. But if it's if it's Jordan, Josh, and Derek, I mean, do we even tune in for the final in that scenario? Even if it's Corey, do we even tune in? Like, Corey will stay competitive, but like, we need Bananas and Kyland to get to the final otherwise the final is done. And then it just becomes who wins in the female side, because we still got Rachel, we still got Cara Maria. Aviv is injured, so I don't know how she'll do in the final if she gets there. Jenny is a beast. She's again shown she's a beast. But she's struggling with her asthma. Like in the mini final, we saw her struggle with her. So I don't know, like Tori, I forgot about Tori. So Tori, Rachel, and Cara Maria, those are like your 3 most likely female winners. And then you just hope that it's competitive until the end. But he's making this game look very easy at the moment.
Jordan's flying. Yeah, he's not getting touched at the moment. I think what Danica said is actually maybe kind of true, like building up for him at the moment. That Jordan's having CT vibes. People don't want to go against him. He does have, and it's not based on size and strength, but his reputation and status built on years of amazing performances. He got
thrown in by Michelle. So the only thing that kept him safe this game was him winning. And then previously, I think that he's just played I don't think it was a scared thing. I just think he's played a really good strategic game. Very good strategic game at this stage. But I think people are willing to go against him because why not? Or not against him, but throw him in, because if you throw, it's kind of like you have to take a shot at people. And this is something I have to say. It would have been the easiest thing in the world for Michelle to do the normal. I don't want to throw Bananas in because I want to have a strong male partner in the final. I don't want to throw Jordan in because I want to have a strong male partner in the final. She's not going down that line. She's like, I'm throwing in big names this season. I don't care. I just want to say hello to Tony. Tony, welcome to the live. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes they protect the strong people on the opposing side, but this season hasn't necessarily been like that.
It's because there's been the
bad
sides. Even if it's not bad blood, the teams are so clearly defined a little bit that there's always a clear target, so that it doesn't have to be like a bad blood kind of thing. It's like, well, you're on that team. And it is turning a little bit, obviously, with Bananas and stuff. I don't think the Angels and the other side necessarily hate each other, but they know that it's your side, my side. If you don't go for me, I'll go for you. And we have to. That's like, it's clear boundaries are drawn. And Jordan's not really on either side of that, which is the fascinating thing.
Yeah, Lovable Nikki is saying here, I wonder if men will ever be able to target men and vice versa. That is why Jordan is safe. Women want Jordan as a partner in the final. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, look at Rachel. She's already cozied up to him. She's doing a good job strategically getting certain people in her side. And she's playing the game in a way where she wants strong men at the end. But Michelle was, like I said, she's taken shots there. So Jordan kind of kept himself safe. And then Tori's kept herself safe when she needed to as well. Like, Tori's played a good game. Cara Maria's played a good game. Like, they're keeping themselves safe when they need to.
This format's really, like, I think this format's working for me this season.
I like it.
Like, that you can protect yourself by performing really well. Like, it's not just it's not the politics side of it, because, you know, if
you get a daily to protect yourself, because the shots are being taken prior to the daily being completed, so you know who's the target prior to getting into the daily. So you get 2 shots at saving yourself. You get the daily where you can win outright, or you can win in the arena. So I actually really like this as well. I think this format has been a slam dunk, Kahuna. I think, like, we're seeing one of the best seasons in a long time.
I think so too, especially from the format perspective, where you can't. It hasn't been a case where one of the alliances can really pagong it, like, can really dominate. You can rig it. You can kind of get the votes. Once you have the numbers, you're kind of in charge of everything, because of the way you're picking 3 targets, and there's so much variance in it. Like, it's actually working out really well that both sides can actually have power fairly frequently. It's not like once you've lost the numbers, you're kind of screwed, kind of thing.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Let's see what else happened during this moment. There was a lot of Michelle, Olivia feeling bad about their situation, having to go up against each other. I felt like they overdid it a little bit. Like, I didn't have much emotion to it, because I was like, this is literally like, Olivia turned her back on Nerys last season, didn't care about the friendship side of it. Now suddenly she's coming across like, I'm such a loyal friend. Michelle's like my ride or die. I never wanted to go against her. And it's like, I don't know. It was too much for me, Kahuna. It was too much.
It felt like a lot.
Yeah. It's like, what are we doing?
Michelle cried harder for her than Devin leaving as well, by the way. Like, it felt like
I don't know how I'm going to survive after this.
I don't know. Like, I didn't have a problem with it. I appreciate if they've actually developed a real strong friendship, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I'm glad they found each other. But, like, yeah, I don't have any sympathy for it. Like, I didn't care about it harder than Tori versus Casey, or it's kind of always been the thing on the challenge that the blood lust in us likes the most. Almost, it's like the worst possible thing you can do, but almost like when it does happen, you're like, oh, you put best friend against best friend. Oh my God, you can't do that. But we're all going, yeah, at the same time, you know, like.
So you were shouting with bananas. You were on Bananas' side on the sidelines going, yeah, we're going to see 2 best friends going after each other.
Well, I didn't really get that from them, because it's not like I wanted to see them go against each other. I don't care. Yeah. Like, they don't. It
was different when we saw Corey and Nelly T go against each other. That was a different vibe.
It is different vibe. So, you know, like, but I appreciate
Fessy betraying Nelly T.
Yeah, I appreciate from a story writing, if you can somehow get it to be where the emotional the emotions are wrought by having it stay in the house, like, that is emotionally, script writing wise, the best possible thing that you could have hope for, you know what I mean? Or rivals, like really hated rivals. It's either the best friend or the person they hate the most, and one of those two is the best option, you know. When they're indifferent about it, it doesn't really feel, you know.
Yeah. Let's have a read of the comments here. King Cash saying, if Jordan doesn't come in last, he is basically a lock for the final. There's only 6 players left in the game as well, so it's getting pretty close. Like, depending on, like, if it's 4 people in the final, we only have 2 more guys to go home and 2 more females to go home, I believe, heading into the final. It's only 6 on the side, right? That's now left, Kuna.
Yeah, that's right. So only 6 left in each side. But how many episodes have we had?
Well, we're episode 13 now. They normally go up to what, episode 19 or 20 or something like that?
So if we have 4 more individual eliminations just to get down to 4,
yeah,
that's 4 more episodes. I guess of 17. Then you might have 18, 19 as the finals.
Yeah, sounds about right to me. Could easily be something like that.
Yeah.
King Cash is saying this might be Jordan's best political season. We agree with that. Also saying, I wonder when we will learn about the karma points. I think karma points will be dealt out in the final. And I think it will give people advantages or disadvantages in the final. So either you'll get a penalty or you'll get a head start based on karma points. That's my guess at this stage. What do you think?
The way Laurel won her final on All Stars.
Yeah.
It was so heavily weighted though. I hope they balance it a little bit more where Laurel getting those karma points essentially gave her the win. Like it was insurmountable.
Yeah. It's telling when you see how bad Laurel failed out on this season, quitting.
Yeah.
I mean, she's now going to be labeled a quitter for the rest of her challenge career.
Didn't get the TJ treatment though for quitting.
Oh no. Just TJ will hold that for some people, but not for Laurel. Laurel is she's one of the goats. She's one of the goats. She can quit. It's like when Sandra Diaz-Twine quit. It's like when Sandra Diaz-Twine quit The Edge of Extinction. Like people didn't hold that against her because she's one of the goats.
Yeah,
you know.
Does this impact her legacy at all?
Does this what?
Impact her legacy? Because it's not a good look, is it?
I'm trying not to be salty. I'm trying not to be salty because I'm not a fan of Laurel. So like putting that caveat on that, I do think it impacts her legacy, to be honest. But that's for the rest of the fans to decide, not just me. I'm not a fan of hers to begin with. So maybe some people who are fans of her would feel differently about it.
I mean, I used to be such a big fan of her. I don't know why now that I look back. Like, it's one of my things that I'm ashamed of, that I actually really liked her. It's because of her competitiveness and her aggression.
You've grown.
I really appreciate. I've grown a lot. But I do not like legacy, as in you can't take away what she's done. But for me, it also calls into question. Like, I didn't like last season's win, or I'm not last season, All Stars win. I didn't think it was that strong of a win. It didn't represent like the truth, and to have that backed up with this season, recency bias is going to be a big thing. Like that's the last couple, and then the one before that.
I don't know, Kuna, if you can hear me. I'm going to put you on mute for a second, just for when you come back. But you're basically you're cutting out quite a bit on the internet connection there. But I know exactly where you're coming from. Like Laurel hasn't had, like she won the season, questionable win to begin with. Then we had this season, which she basically quit at, and then I don't think her previous 2 showings prior to that in the new era was that great either. So there hasn't been, and again, I'm probably coming across as like, obviously Chris is going to say this, he's never been a Laurel fan, so a lot of fans may think differently about it, but to me, she's not been as impressive. I wouldn't personally put her up there. She's a big character. You can't take that away from her. But not a good way to see her go out of this season. I'm going to have a look at a couple more comments that are coming in here. Danica saying they literally did that to themselves. So I believe that was maybe Michelle and Olivia. Danica said also, did you talk about Laurel burning bananas with the 1 karma point? Did not talk about that, but that's another really bad thing on Laurel, because bananas have been going to bat for her. Like at every single podcast on her show, he's like, Laurel's one of the best. Wes came in there and said she's average. The only reason she won back in the day is because she was bigger than other girls. Now that there's more athletic girls, she's kind of getting found out. And Bananas has been going to bat. No, she's one of the greats. She's one of the best. She would have won no matter the era. And this is how she repays him. Very, very bad. King Cassia says, all people, why is Josh letting himself get pulled into the drama this close to the final when he can't win an elimination? I just think he ran out of runway, King Cash. I think that he was trying to play that middle game, and then this happens to him every single season. At the end, he runs out of runway, and he's trying to be everybody's friend. And at some point, like Kyland says, you've got to choose the person that you're going to be with. You've got to choose your alliance. And he didn't choose his alliance, and he's getting found out here. Danica is also saying TJ had to politically correct himself. Kincash is saying you can't hold this against Laurel unless you're knocking down Evelyn for quitting an elimination. That's fair. That's fair. And a lot of people are really big Evelyn fans as well. I've got no horse in the race, to be honest with you, King Cash, but I really don't like it when somebody quits. And maybe it came from a place that wasn't explained very well, but she was saying she's feeling heat stroke. Maybe she was dehydrated. There could be many reasons for it. It just didn't look good optically. Seeing her drop out of the race when Michelle was running away, she knew she wasn't going to get there in time, so she didn't finish the challenge. Tony saying you have grown. Laurel hasn't. Very, very true, Tony. Very true. Like, Laurel is still the same person she was. And I think that's what Wes said on the Bananas podcast as well, which was a good listen. Lovable Nikki says, definitely can hold this against Laurel. Laurel is too old for this shit. Yeah. She's not stayed in shape. She hasn't trained for what the challenge is today. And Cara Maria, on the other hand, has trained. She has stayed in shape. She's maybe not as good at certain puzzles or certain math equations and things like that, but at least she can run with the new school people, which is something that you do need if you want to compete with some of the newer girls. But again, there's some beasts that have been around for a while. Tori's there. She's been around for a while. You've got Rachel, who's been around for a while. Rachel's looking very good. Anything is possible. John Darwin says Laurel is, and I feel like there's more that should follow that comment. I'm not too sure. Kahuna, I think you're back. Any other things that you wanted to discuss? Any other topics you wanted to bring up from this episode that stood out for you? Oh, you're on mute, just by the way. I'll unmute you.
There you go. No, I can't think of anything specific. I do think this episode felt very, like it was a little bit mid, like the challenge, the elimination. I was like, it was very Michelle heavy, which she was strong. It was a really strong episode because she carried a lot of it. But when we were talking about Michelle before, how she's really stepped up to have, you were saying about this back and forth with Johnny, like to see two greats go at it. I started thinking, had she not filled that void this season, when we're talking about Jordan being very boring, there's a little bit going on with Tori. But when you've got a cast of such heavy hitters, without the Laurel and Cara Maria drama, it has been a little bit quiet, hasn't it? And without Michelle having that going back and forth with Bananas and allowing Bananas to really play the heel again and relish it,
Tori as well.
Tori as well.
I don't know if you're still there or if you're cutting out. We may have lost you there again, but Tori's the other person.
A good thing. That says a lot. Yeah.
I'm just going to put you on mute for a second if you can hear me. So yeah, the other person I think that has really been keeping the season interesting has been Tori, because like you said, Bananas has been playing the heel. He's definitely stepped up. He's kept the season interesting. Tori and Michelle have both been going at him at different times, which has made the game kind of entertaining. But all of this comes down to Bananas, and this is why I believe when Bananas leaves the game, if you hate him, love him, he can be a bit of a dick sometimes, let's be honest. That is his stick. That is who he is. That is what he brings to the game. But when he is ready to retire, there's going to be a gaping hole for someone to fill. And I don't know who that person is that is going to take over for Bananas to play the heel as well as he does. Like, obviously, Wes has played that at times in the past. He's really good at it as well. Jordan is becoming less of a heel these days. He's becoming, instead of the anti-hero, the Deadpool of the challenge universe. He's become more like the new CT almost, I feel like now. He's taken more of that senior statesman role that CT had previously. He's even comparing himself to CT, saying if I can get this 5th win, now suddenly I'm in the conversation with CT, you know? So that's who he's looking up to. That's who he's targeting. He's not necessarily looking to become the next heel, the next Bananas in the game. So there is going to be a massive gap for someone to fill. And I don't know who that is, Kahuna. Is there anyone that you can think of? My opinion personally, and I don't know if this is going to be popular, there's a certain Mr. Calafury that's starting to get back into the challenge world. And I think if he plays enough seasons, he could start becoming a bit of a heel again in the future. Like, he does have a strategic mind. He's very vocal. He's outspoken. He is good at with the camera. So maybe he's the person that they look for in the future to play that heel role. But I don't know who it's going to be outside of that.
He's very good. He even got to mention this episode from Bananas, calling him the Keebler Elf, which was great. You get a little pop up and everything. Paulie's good. I don't know if it'll be good for him to go into that heel space, like with him saying that he's done a lot of mental sort of growth and all that sort of thing. I think Devin obviously is going to be one of the future pieces of the challenge. And if you have the likes of say Kyland, he is, but it depends on what happens in the context of the season, right? Because you can definitely say there's no Bananas, right? It's a Devon season. He's got Michelle there. And say it's a Kylan is the good guy, and whatever the way the alliances have fallen going up against Devon and blah blah blah, you could see there being a pretty good narrative there, like Devon leading with Michelle up against whatever alliances formed on the other side. I think that could be a real thing, but there doesn't seem to be a clear-cut one. No, I think Paulie's can do a lot, but he needs a couple more seasons in to build that character back up because he's been gone a long time.
Yeah, that's why he's been struggling. He just doesn't have the built-in alliances any longer. But him and Cara Maria together feel like outcasts with the new age and could easily fill a role like that together if they were to come back into the show, where I feel like Derek has the showmanship likeness of that, but he's got Derek has got a really good alliance around him now, which allows for him to play a more puppet master type of game rather than being like the antagonist, the person who's going up against the house, almost, but that could change in the future. Let's see what people are saying. King Cash is saying, who were your winner predictions at the beginning of the season? So King Cash, if you remember our draft pick, I believe Drew picked Jordan as the first male pick for the season, which most of us would have picked if we had the opportunity. And then I believe Chantal picked Cara Maria, if my memory is correct, as the first female pick of the season. So I couldn't pick it. What was it, you?
Maria?
Did she pick Laurel? I can't remember.
No, I thought you picked Tori, or did you pick last?
I was somewhere in the middle. I couldn't pick Cara Maria, so I picked Tori. Yeah, before you. Okay. So this is so Chantal was first. She picked Cara Maria, so I couldn't. I picked Tori, and then you had someone else that you picked.
I had Jenny.
Jenny, yeah. So those are the kills. They're all still in.
Tori, Cara Maria, or Jenny would have been my three winners picks. I think Tori would have been my number one if I had the option.
Yeah. Drew had Rachel as his first female pick, which was the fourth overall female pick. So all four of us had our first female pick still in the game. Have our first female pick still in the game right now.
Yeah.
All good picks in the beginning of the season. My guy pick, because I was third to pick the guys, was Derek, which was a surprise to some people. The reason I didn't pick CT was because of the scene of him being medevaced. Unfortunately, I was spoiled on that.
Devin.
Yeah, sorry, Devin. Yeah. So if I didn't pick Devin, I would have picked Jordan if I could. So Jordan would have been that number one pick. And I can't remember who you picked.
I picked Bananas.
Bananas, which is fair. Yeah. So you had Jordan, Bananas, both playing good games this season. I had Devin, and then Chantal at CT. So only two of our men. We were more wrong on the men than what we were on anything else.
After that, I still, at the start of the season, I was very high on Theo and Kyland as well. I wanted either of them in my team too. I thought Kyland, Theo, Jordan were really the top people. And Bananas would have been my number one pick because I thought Kylan and Theo may be still available, but Bananas would have got lots of points regardless. Like, he's going to carry my team.
Yeah. King Cash saying, out of Jordan, Kylan, and Bananas, who is the dark horse pick? For me, it would be Corey.
It's got to be Corey. Corey's got a better shot than Derek even, I think.
Yeah. John says Paulie hasn't felt as antagonistic lately, but that might be due to his early eliminations lately. Totally agree with that. Hasn't had much opportunity to build his character or even build an alliance around him. I've been disappointed to see him go early every single time, but season 40 felt pushed to have him back. Yes, he had a big impact in his first couple of seasons that he played, but he's been out of the game for so long. I think it would have been better if they just put someone in that's been more recent, to be honest, and bring Paulie back in for season 40. I would have rather seen him back at season 41, but hopefully he does get the call back for season 41 as well. King Cash is saying Corey needs to win the most. And then Danica says, we still haven't seen the car off the cliff challenge. I wonder what that one will be. That's from the big super trailer. I'm not too sure either. But I'm excited, Kahuna, to finally get the trucks back, the semi-trucks coming back next episode.
With trucks, man. It's always good when they have the trucks. Like, regardless of whatever challenge they do, they end up being super creative with trucks. Like they can come up with so many different versions of a challenge to put on a truck, and it's always fun. Like it's such a visual setting. Like to see someone running across semi trailers while it's moving is just always going to be fun, no matter what.
Yeah. Well, that is it here for this week, everybody. Thank you so much for dropping in and saying hello this morning if you're in the USA, or this evening if you're over in Australia or New Zealand like ourselves. It's been a lot of fun. If you like this content, if you want us to do more of this in the future, consider subscribing to the channel. Also hit a like on this to make sure that it gets recognized in the YouTube algorithms, and let us know in the comments section below, what do you agree with? What do you disagree with? What was your thoughts on this episode? We always love reading the comments at a later stage. And like I said, we do have two sponsors now for the podcast. One is Coinbase. If you're into cryptocurrencies and you want to invest, check out our description for a referral link. If you do sign up to Coinbase, we do get a small fee for that as well. And then also StreamYard, who we're streaming from right now, is also a sponsor for the channel. So if you go and click on that link below as well, that will also send a small referral fee to us. But for now, thank you so much, everybody. We will catch you next week. Have a fantastic weekend on that side there, and talk to you soon. Bye.